About Time Conversations with Charlize and Yolanda, where we bring our experiences and our expertise to the table to address the relevant topics that impact our lives and our communities. This is the place to be authentic, be transparent, and be inspired. And so we welcome you all to our table. And I'm Charlize Lewis.
And I'm Yolanda Mason. Thank you all so much for joining us today. So today our topic is a really exciting one, I think. We are talking about the relationship idol. So as we likely can all agree, being in a relationship can be an absolutely amazing thing. The need to love and to be loved is a feeling with whom most people can definitely relate. The desire to be in a relationship with another person, to be deeply connected to another person, to have a person who kind of belongs to you and to whom you belong, the whole idyllic concept of meeting the one and falling in love and getting married and living happily ever after definitely resonates with so many people. But as social media interaction has grown over the past 10 to 15 years, relationships have become more than just a hope or a dream. Seeing couples post hashtag relationship goals or pretty pictures of themselves and their partners going on date nights. And then, of course, we can't forget the coveted Man Crush Monday and Woman Crush Wednesday that we see on Facebook and other social media platforms. It seems that these days, everyone is either in a relationship or they desperately want to be in a relationship. And as a result, we have seen relationships become almost an idol in the lives of single people everywhere. So as you can hear, this is one of those really deep subjects, and we've got two amazing guests here with us to help us unpack it. So we have with us today the Reverend Dr. Mike Robinson, who is pastor of the Total Grace Church in Lexington, Kentucky. He is an amazing preacher, a teacher, and a scholar. He has written a compelling book titled Black Conscious Christianity, and he is a husband and a father. Along with him, we also have Lady Erin Robinson, who serves as the executive pastor and first lady of the Total Grace Church in Lexington, Kentucky. Lady Erin is a preacher, a scholar, and an awesome mother and wife to Pastor Mike. Together, the Robinsons co-own a very successful vegan restaurant in Lexington called Not Your Ordinary Vegan. We are so happy to have you both on the show, Pastor Mike and Lady Erin.
Thank y'all so much for letting us join you tonight.
Absolutely. We're really excited about having you here. So I think I just want to kind of dive into this conversation about the relationship idol. So I'll start with you, Pastor Mike. I know that you are really vocal on social media and you're a serious advocate for healthy relationships and marriages. When it comes to social media, it is often said that relationships and marriages can often be ruined by social media. Talk to me about how you see the impact of social media when it comes to interactions between partners and spouses.
I would say, yeah, there's definitely a lot of challenges there. It opens you up to the infamous DMs, right?
Right.
A lot of problems happen that way. But for the most part, again, the idea of this being envious, right? You're seeing people post, again, the best of themselves. In the work that we do, we're often sitting down with couples and, offering guidance to couples. I mean, we really could be keeping somebody out of divorce court. And later on that day, they're posting a picture about how wonderfully in love they are, right?
Wow.
Imagine people looking at that, being jealous of what they have. Little do they know that what they have is crumbling underneath them, right?
Wow.
So I think social media is a huge problem just because it becomes a reality for people when social media is not a reality.
Yep.
It is not at all. It is not reality, but when people treat it that way, it causes that envy and that jealousy in a lot of instances, cause issues. Well, why don't you ever do that for me? Or I don't ever see you say that kind of stuff about me. Like, it just causes so many problems. If I think people are not mature enough to kind of handle it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Lady Robinson, why do you think that people tend to idolize the relationships that they see on Facebook and other social media platforms?
Well, I mean, one of the things that he said that I really agree with is just how social media has taken on its own identity. Just,
Mhm.
I would say, in the last 5 to 7 years, of where perception is now reality. Well, now social media is reality.
Wow.
Mm.
And
Yes.
so many times when you look on these and you see these different couples, you see these different relationships. Now what is perceived is now reality. So it's then envious because you think that that's what you want.
Mhm.
When in actuality, what is being posted is what makes that individual, for the most part, feel good about. Because if you think about it, like, how many selfies do you have to take before you post the next one? Right? How many selfies
True.
did it take for you to put on there? And I'm guilty of it too. Oh no, my hair was this and that. And so
Mhm.
it becomes an augmented
Wow.
But deep, yeah.
That's deep.
it becomes an augmented perception of what the truth really is.
Mhm.
Yes.
Not only to people, but to yourself.
Ooh,
So
that's
why
true.
why can't you just post a regular picture with you not looking good?
Mm.
Because the presentation is flawless, right?
Right.
Has-
But in
And
Wow.
they're always
actuality, it's
flawed.
not, right? Because
Right.
it could have been 10 snaps before you got to the one you thought was flawless, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
And then therefore when people are, and see, he's a social media influencer.
Yes.
I am a listener. And so I study
Mhm.
people and I listen on social media. And so I may
Mhm.
not post a lot, but I'm listening a lot. And that's a lot of what I see, is that people just want to present what they feel is perfect. And so
Mhm.
therefore it draws the enviousness out of people, thinking that that is their true reality, when it's not. It's just however many pictures, posts, however many times you backspace to get the right word, so
Mm.
so that you present the truth that you want to feel yourself.
Wow. So this is exciting, because when I thought about this conversation and how it would come out, I knew that you all were the perfect people to talk about it because of that balance that you have. There's no doubt that Pastor Mike is an influencer on social media. So many people follow him and pay attention to him. But I like how you both talked about how social media has become a reality. Like, that's really powerful, because it doesn't just affect how other people see you, but Lady Erin, you said it even affects how we see ourselves. So that's like kind of a powerful thing to kind of unpack and think about as we go forward in the conversation. Like, I think that's dope. Yeah. So Pastor Mike, I kind of want to talk about this idea of hashtag couple goals. So, every now and then, and again, because you're an influencer on social media, you know all of this language and lingo. But for folks who are listening, just in case they don't know, if you see like an amazing couple on Facebook, if you see them perhaps going to date night, or you perhaps see them in the house on the couch, looking cozy, looking cute in a beautiful setting, you might put, and I have done this, hashtag couple goals. Like, and what I mean when I say that, just to kind of give some clarity, to me, it's a compliment. I mean, like, as a single woman, I think they're amazing. I always say this, my parents have been married for 43 years. So I grew up loving the dynamic of marriage. And so when I see people that look great together, or two people like you and Lady E who do ministry together, I'm like, that is bomb. I would love to have that. That's dope. That's couple goals to me, right? But do you think, Pastor Mike, that could ever be harmful? So, like, on one hand, it seems okay for people to admire what they see as happy and healthy relationships, right? But what could be the potential pitfalls in that?
Yeah. Well, I think first and foremost, the biggest pitfall is because there's no depth, right? There's no depth to it. So your interpretation of what's happy and healthy is based on smiles and a picture,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
It means it's irrelevant. Like, so there's some people that I follow who I know personally, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I may see them post something. I may see them, like the examples, them on vacation or them doing ministry together. And I'm really like, man, that's dope. Like, I know
Mm-hmm.
them, I know the depth to their relationship. But other than that, if I just see people posting a nice picture and I'm admiring that, I don't even know what I'm admiring. And that's I think that's so dangerous. And what makes it even more dangerous is that people are manipulative. People
Mm.
people know their relationship is trash.
That's good.
Right.
And instead of dealing with it, they just create an alternate reality. Like, I don't even have to talk to my spouse, right? We don't have to be getting along at all, but I can have this entirely different reality on social media that has people.
Whoa.
I'll end like this. I mean, I can put on a marriage seminar, and then my wife be serving me with divorce papers.
Mm.
Right? That's what social media has done to us, right? There's no depth, there's no authenticity to it. It's all facade in many cases.
Wow. And I think what's powerful, and Charlize, you probably agree, what's powerful that Pastor Mike talked about was this idea that we could have a dual reality because of social media. And again, they're going way deeper. Shout out to y'all, because y'all going way deeper than I actually thought about it. But that's why you're here. Because Charlize, don't you think that's powerful? This idea of this dual reality where I can be living in pure hell behind the scenes, but on Facebook, I can show you something that will make you think I really have it going on, or that my relationship is one that you should admire or possibly even envy. And that could not be the case at all.
And I think about that even as you see people and they're posting the things they have. You have no idea if they are in debt.
Right.
You have no idea if they have good credit. Matter of fact, you have no idea if it's actually their stuff. And so when you're talking about presenting a relationship, a marriage specifically, all of those things could still be true in a marriage. They could look happy, but can't buy anything because they don't have any money. They don't have any credit.
True.
Be honest. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
The truth.
And they might not even have that much food in the refrigerator. We have to be honest about, because we look at what somebody else has, and we also don't consider what did it take for them to get what they have, if in fact they do have that. You know, we see the glory, but we don't see the story. And that's so very true, even in marriages. You see the smile, but you don't know that it took years of counseling to even get to that smile.
That's true.
You don't even know if it took years of fighting with in-laws to get to that smile. Because we're talking about marriage now. We're not just talking about the two people, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We're talking about everybody and everything that's involved in that. And we haven't even gotten to the place of talking about how children factor into that. But one of the things I want to kind of switch to with you all is, when you're in ministry, how do you balance or prioritize? You know, how important is your personal relationship with God in relationship to your spouse? I mean, how do you manage those things? Because let's be honest, your relationship with God is also different from your relationship with the church. So there's a whole lot of moving parts to this. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Okay. Well, let's just, like, I think one of the other reasons is that we're afraid to not show or post the losses, for lack of a better word. We always want to post the wins. And so what I've seen through the pandemic, just even with myself, is just getting into the routine where I was like, I'm not even really studying like I'm supposed to, right? Because the weight of the pandemic, the weight of just trying to survive in ministry and family and children and NTI, I had to get back to the private devotional time, the things that praise and worship, the prayer time, because without that consistency in a personal relationship, I'm gonna bite his head off, and then the kids is right next, and then it's over. So I mean, it's done, because and it's crazy, once I got into a routine, but I mean, life happens, and so I think the most important thing is the early, whenever you get up, just having that time with the Lord. And then everything else always just falls into place. I don't even know how to explain it.
That's good.
That's big. That's big. Pastor Mike, what do you think about? And let me give some context to our listeners, right? Because people are going to be listening to this, and it's going to be posted all over social media. So I want to be clear. We're talking to Mike and Aaron Robinson, Pastor Mike, Lady Aaron Robinson. We're talking about two people who have three beautiful girls, who have one of the best restaurants, vegan restaurants, in Lexington. Absolutely amazing food, by the way. And I'm a serious meat eater, but I actually felt compelled to ask Pastor Mike, was he tricking me about if it was meat or plant, right? Because it's just that good. So they've got the restaurant, they've got their girls who have active schedules. They have the church. So then they have his ministry, then they have her ministry, then they have their ministry together, their responsibilities at the church. Also, they do counseling and coaching. I know this for a fact, with several different people in the church and in the community. So Pastor Mike, when you're thinking about what Lady Erin said, which was about that private devotion, can you add some kind of tips and ideas about how you find that balance? Because I'm going to be transparent with you all. Y'all make it look very, very easy. Like those of us who are on the outside watching you all, and of course we are, because of the kind of town we live in, we're watching all pastors and all wives. That's just the way we work here. It's kind of this fishbowl thing. It doesn't look like you all ever struggle to balance all that you do. Can you talk about that a little bit and be transparent about that for others who are listening and other young couples who are listening?
Yeah. Shoot. How far are we in this?
See, I told you to
I'm
know.
talking about the church.
Oh,
How long is that?
They discussing it, y'all. They got to figure it out.
My bad. Can we erase that part now?
So I'm just saying that. So we're about 12 years in.
Okay.
So it definitely didn't start out that way, because just human nature, the different things in your life compete. They compete, right?
Mhm.
So I'm trying to figure out how to manage a church and church staff and personalities, and be a husband to my wife, a father to my kids, to still be in business and trying to earn money, and like all those things can compete, right? So I think getting to the place in life where it just flows, right? Where everything flows out of the relationship you have with Christ, right? So we were just recently talking about the kind of the vine and the branches analogy, right? Being connected, the vine's being connected to the branch. I think that's how everything should be with your relationship with God, right? Your personal devotion with God, everything else flows out of that. So if our marriage flows out of that, if our ministry flows out of that, our parenting flows out of that, then it's not competing. It's just an extension of our Christian walk, right? All those things are just legs or components of that, right? So I'm not trying to be intimidated by her being a good preacher, a good teacher, or being more popular, or trying to because I would say early on, trying to balance being there for my church and being there for my kids, being there for my family. Like that was torture. But at this particular point, right, I know where my priorities lie. So I have to be responsible enough to give to each thing the priority that it is within my life, right? And again, I think that just all flows from having an authentic relationship with God. That, like, authenticity is key, right? Our relationship, what you see is what you get. You see me with my girls, like that is how we are, right? We're not putting on a front for social media, for society. Like that's just where we are. And that makes it easier because I don't have to remember who I am for certain people.
Oh,
that's good.
Talk about it.
We are who we are for everybody. Some may like it, some may not, right? We okay with that.
Yes.
And I would say probably one of the biggest catalysts was in 2017. I made what I thought at the time was a difficult decision to walk away from corporate job. I left a job that I had of 17 years, working very fulfilled, doing well. I was the web administrator for Midway University now, had been there 13 years. I walked away from what I thought was my career, but I followed the path that God had me to move into ministry. And I think that right there was the key decision that helped balance things out, because it took away from trying to do full-time ministry and full-time work. But when I found out that full-time ministry, I wasn't doing it before.
Yeah.
Now I was just working, you know what I'm saying? But being in the midst of, and that opened up doors to allow me to be a better mother, better wife, and it also has allowed us to open up in entrepreneurship and everything else, because I'm not tied down to a 9 to 5, even though I work more.
Yeah, you probably work harder. And Lady E, I have to ask you this question now, because you all, again, y'all are just perfect for this subject, because the thing that I would love to ask you, I've watched your evolution as a woman, and I've admired it since I known you for a lot of years. I don't know, you're probably one of the most quiet people that I know. You're not someone that wastes words, right? But I've always admired the way that you moved up. I remember when the decision came to leave, and then I remember hearing about you deciding to go to graduate school. And so as a woman who is following that same kind of educational path, and also a minister, I'm a minister, and so are you. I'm really impressed with the way that you move, but I want to know, how important was Pastor Mike's support when you were making those moves? And I say that because I just always remember everything you've ever done. Pastor Mike, you don't go out of your way to post your family on Facebook every single second. I feel a protective thing from you when it comes to your girls and your family, your relationship on social media. I feel like you're the type of person that focuses on what you're focusing on, which is making sure people know about the church, making sure that people, know that they can come, all of those things that are part of your repertoire. You put those on social media, but I've seen you be more protective of your family unless necessary. But I always noticed that when Lady E made a decision to go back to school, you were pumping her harder than anybody. When she started preaching publicly, you were pumping her harder than anybody. So Lady E, how important was that for you to have Pastor Mike kind of by your side, not squelching you, but really, really pushing you to those heights?
Well, if I'm honest, he got on my nerves. Because he's pushing me in a good way, right?
Yeah.
Because if he had it his way, it wouldn't have been 2017, it'd been 2013. And so what I respect about what he allowed me to do is he allowed me to walk out with God. And I think that's
Wow.
I think that's what you was talking about, is just your relationship with your husband and with God. Like he said, no, he didn't say you're going to quit your job and come work for the church. He allowed the Lord to move and allowed me to walk that out with him first. So I'm very appreciative. Sometimes I'm like, look, fall back. I like being in the background. That's where I flow and operate.
Yeah.
Right. But he puts me out there more than I like.
I know. I like that though. I think that's powerful. And I like that you said, and Charlize, you could probably agree. I heard Lady E say that even though Pastor Mike may have seen this greatness in his wife, he didn't push her, but he allowed her. She said, he allowed me to flow with God. And I really like that.
Well, it also established your purpose.
Right.
Your purpose for one season is one thing, but your purpose for a new season is something else. So you had to really get in a quiet place, I'm sure, and work that out with God. What does this next season look like?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What does it look like?
Yeah, because at my former, I was Erin Robinson. I wasn't somebody's first lady, somebody's wife, somebody's mom. I had built my own career and identity, right? And so basically he's like, oh, so you want me to just switch that off and then move into something else and turn into another? I was like, no, ain't nobody doing that. I don't work 13. Why? But there comes a time when the pulling of the Holy Spirit will not allow you to do anything else. And so I went into a period of, and it's crazy because I think that's about the time when I went vegetarian and then into vegan, is when I went into a time of prayer and fasting about that decision to go into full-time ministry. So it's crazy how one obedient thing evolves into something that now is a growing business. So
that's powerful.
Yeah.
So we've kind of talked about, kind of our takeaways from the conversation at this point. We've talked about how important it is to understand that what we see on social media, especially regarding personal relationships, is not all there is to a relationship, right? So it may be a component, like Pastor Mike said earlier, that one snapshot is all that it is, a few seconds. So there's more to relationships than what we see on social media. And we've talked about the fact that social media is truly like a kind of highlight reel where we show off our best moments moments, but we don't necessarily throw out those challenging moments. So let's do a reality check. I thought this was a great time to kind of do a reality check again, because we invited you all here because of your transparency, because of your honesty, because what we see is what we get from you all. And I know that personally, and I can vouch for that. You're the same at the restaurant as you are at church, as you are on social media. And I admire that. So let's talk about it. Lady Erin, you and Pastor Mike have been married for years. How many years, by the way?
It's 2002. It'll be 19 in December.
19 years, so almost 20 years. That's dope.
Close.
Yeah. So you guys have been married for years. You have 3 beautiful girls. You both matriculated and graduated in the higher echelons of education, graduate school. Pastor Mike has his PhD. And you all did all of this while pastoring a thriving church and being really active in the community. So tell me, if there are couples or folks who desire to be couples, more importantly, perhaps ministers who are listening, what are the realities of love and marriage that people may not understand? And I ask that question because I think marriage is this thing where people have an idea in their head of what it's going to look like. And marriage is very idyllic in your head. And I can say this because, again, I am a single woman. And as I've gotten older, I've begun to realize that the fairy tale that I dreamed of since I was a little girl, it really doesn't exist, right? So I want to know if there are people who are listening to this podcast who are thinking about marriage, if there are ministers who are in marriage, if there are other first ladies and pastors listening, what are some of the realities of love and marriage that you all have learned in the last 20 years of being together that folks may not understand? Either one of you can go first. Pass the ball.
Well, yeah, this is kind of what we do. So I think one of the biggest things is understanding that there are differences between men and women. Absolutely. Right. And so when it comes to expectations of what marriage is, that's the most important thing, is painting that very early. Like, you possibly could be dating or engaged to somebody who has a completely different expectation or idea of what marriage is. And a lot of times we don't even have that conversation. So all those problems now begin to snowball once you're married. So during the dating process, being very transparent and open about what your expectation of marriage is. What does it look like, right? What are the roles that you grew up with that you understand? So having those conversations early and being able to establish an understanding between each other, I think that would be the first thing that I would tell anybody if that's the stage that you're in. If somebody's already married, again, creating that place of open and honest communication where you can share your wants and your needs, right, without feeling offended. Like, that's the biggest thing. Like, if I say it's something that I'm wanting or that I'm needing, she could very well feel as if I'm attacking her. Like, so I'm not already giving you everything you need, right? So when that type of atmosphere is there, you can't get over things. So again, just the atmosphere of openness and honesty, to where I can share what I need, what I want, hear what you need and what you want, and then work to give each other that, right? We're doing a teaching right now on the 5 love languages, which I think are critical, right?
Amazing.
Yeah, being able to make sure somebody need for love and intimacy or whatever is being met. And the only way you can do that is by them communicating to you what it is, right? So again, nothing greater than open and honest communication within a relationship, I think.
I like that.
And from a practical standpoint, we've been married 19 years, but we dated all through college. So we dated for 4 years. So within that time, I was witnessed him go through death in his family. He witnessed health scares in mine. We went through ups and downs of life. I got to see how he dealt with things. He got to see how I dealt with things. And so knowing somebody before you desire and get in marriage, because frankly, beauty will fade, love will, you're not going to always be glowing in love. But one thing about marriage is it should be unconditional love. And so love will be tested. there's different ebbs and flows of life. Once kids come, you know what I'm saying, once your body changes. So it's just having a consistency of, you know, what God put together, let no man tear us. And that includes the two people who are married.
That's true.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
I like
good.
that.
That's
I like
good.
that. Yes.
Charlize, I'm gonna throw it to you real quick because you and your husband have been married for 20 years as well, haven't you?
Almost. We're at 17. We're almost there.
Okay. So did any of what Pastor Mike and Lady Erin say resonate with you in terms of looking back at your marriage? Again, for the people who are listening, who are, you know, I'm going to take advantage of being around all of this great marriage experience. Did that resonate with you when they talked about that honesty, that communication, that transparency? Because I know that you and your husband, as who I've also watched over the years, believe in that. You believe in the communication piece.
Well, I think one of the things that helped us initially was the premarital counseling piece, because I think that's where you truly establish, are you going to communicate effectively, but are you also going to be transparent? Because if, yeah, but that's the place. I mean, if you have a person that's taking you through that and they are hitting every area of your life, including budgeting, because we don't talk about that budgeting, spending habits, credit, all of those things. And I know that I've mentioned this before, but those are things that are important.
Mhm.
You know, is somebody a saver? Is somebody a spender? That's an argument.
Right.
Is somebody an introvert? Is somebody an extrovert? That's an argument. But it's also about balancing the personalities. But you mentioned the love languages. And I think I posted this on Facebook earlier. You know, you have to really communicate your expectations on that, because my husband is the type of person, he's acts of service. I could buy him 13 gifts. He'll say thank you. But if I cook him a meal,
yeah,
then he's smiling.
Yeah.
You know, with him, and you said something about being offended if you're honest. And I used to tell him all the time, I just want my husband. I just want my husband. I just want my husband. What do you mean? What do you mean by that? And so I'm like, okay, but don't get offended if I say that. If I say I just want my husband because I like closeness, I like physical touch. That's my love language. So if I say that to you, that's just me wanting you near. So I had to be honest about how do I express that to him. And he had to be honest about, are you going to be offended by it? Or are you just going to come over here and scoot up under me? Right?
Right.
But some stuff can be really solved and settled very easily in marriage.
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be, come on. It doesn't have to be a big old thing where we go to bed angry at night. It's just something simple. It's a communication thing. So yeah. Yeah.
And I think you brought up something that's good. Like just those
good.
Who's gonna cook? How are we gonna discipline our kids? Do we want to be in Kentucky forever? Like just things like that.
That's twice.
Oh, that's a good one.
I think we need.
Nah, that's a good one.
When we're talking to people, you know, the premarital counseling, I might be like, so how many kids y'all looking to have? And the wife say 1 and the husband say 5. And I'm like, y'all hadn't thought about that yet? You know, or where y'all gonna live? Or like people just they don't think about that. And those things.
I'll tell anybody, don't get married unless you have premarital counseling, because there's some stuff that's gonna come out, and a good counselor is gonna say, okay, now y'all got homework.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
Y'all gonna have to go through that homework, and you're gonna have to work through it, and you're gonna have to be honest about it. And like you said, one of us wants 5 kids, one of us wants 1. And then the 3 in between might still be the non-negotiable.
Right. Wow.
And let's be honest about it. I mean, my husband and I, we thought one way, but when you start to have other issues in there, like with us, we have fertility issues. So how do you manage the tough stuff? Because that doesn't come up for everybody. And some couples don't make it through issues like that.
Yep.
That's good.
And how do you manage health issues?
Yeah, we just walked through that 2 years ago. So.
Yeah, and when you think about it and look at African-American men and African-American women, you see breast cancer on the rise for the women and prostate cancer on the rise for men. What happens when you come to a crossroads about decisions concerning those types of health issues?
That's good. Yeah.
But when you're talking about all of these things, and we're back to that relationship idol, you don't know what a couple's been through. You just know what you see.
Yep.
Yeah.
And to be honest, you also only know what they let you know.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
Because they own their own story.
Yeah.
They don't have to tell you anything, but you only know what they let
Yeah.
you know. So we need to be very careful of how we envy what we see.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
So okay, and we're kind of nearing our close. This really has been an amazing conversation, but I literally just got a question today. I was telling someone that we were going to be recording this show and telling them about the topic, and they asked me to ask you a question, Pastor Mike, that I would have never thought about. I don't know, Charlize, if you would have thought about this at all, but I am very interested in your take on this. I was just kind of saying, hey, we're going to interview Pastor Mike and his wife, and we're going to talk about social media and the impact on relationships. And they asked me, they asked me to ask you, do you think that couples should talk about how they present themselves, what they post, and how they interact on social media? And honestly, it didn't occur to me because I do have single woman brain. I don't think about, talking about things like that, because everything I do it's just me, know. So I want to know what you all think about that, because I found that interesting. Is it important for couples to have that discussion, because social media is such a big part of our lives now? And we typically, I think the statistics said the average adult spends about 4 to 6 hours on social media over the course of a day,
Right.
from their off and on interactions. Do couples need to talk about that, Pastor Mike? What do you think as a pastor and as someone who gives premarital counseling?
Yeah, you're saying like the two people talk about like what type of stuff are we gonna post?
Yes, I mean, as couples, like if it were you and Lady E, should a wife just get on Facebook and start posting? And I'll tell you where the question came from. That may help you answer it as well. Where the question came from was we had seen a married couple get upset on social media. It was someone with my friend and I have a mutual friend, and the husband got on Facebook and got in the comments and said, "I love you, but take this post down." That's all he said. And I will admit that it was something very personal. It was very personal, I think. And I won't say anymore because I don't want to have an identifier of what it was or who. But the husband was pretty adamant that she would take that post down. And we did see it come down. Within 10 minutes, that post was gone. So that led her to say, ask Pastor Mike what he thinks. Should couples talk about what they post on social media? And should a wife or a husband say, hey babe, I'm going to post something, what do you think? Should that be a conversation, or does that matter? What do you think?
Yeah, I think if it matters to them, it matters, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I would never want to post something that I think would be, offensive to her. And even deeper than that, it might be something that I think is great, but she might not appreciate it, right?
Right.
So I think, yeah, to some extent, to again have that healthy openness and within communication, that you should definitely be able to share that. And again, within a relationship, you should kind of already know some boundaries not to cross, right?
Good. That's good.
And as the example that you used, I mean, that's definitely shouldn't be done. Like for me to get angry and then take that to the world, yeah, that would be a definite no, right?
Right.
Because again, you can't take those things back. You can't
Right.
take things back once it's out there. So yeah, I think it would be a great practice to set some boundaries and some parameters,
That's
right?
good.
If I can speak without getting in trouble.
No, because I think I'm about to say the same thing.
Well, go ahead.
Okay, that way you don't get in trouble. I think I can give a real life example since you said transparent. I'm very introverted, right? I mean, duh, right? And he's extroverted / introvert, right?
Yeah.
So one of the main reasons why you don't see me out there a lot on his page is because I stopped him. I was like, because I live a very private life, even though I'm in the public eye. Right. And so there's a lot of times and instances where I was like, dude, if you don't take that, well, I'm just trying to, but yeah, right. It's your page, but it's my life. It's me. It's my person, my face. Right. So we had to come to was this what you're going to say? Yeah. We had to come to an understanding that I get it. I appreciate what you're trying to do. Dial it back. Right. And so, I mean, we came to an agreement, right? add a little bit more out there than I would like, but you know, hey, you know, so I think it comes with communication. It all comes back to that, like, and not so much take it down, but why. And then I think because ultimately his page is his page, my page is my page, but we married. And so our reflection of is one to another. If I'm uncomfortable with something that he said or vice versa, then we've got a problem.
That's good. I really like the way you all laid that out, because I heard both of you saying this doesn't have to be an argument. We can just have a conversation, and and the word that you used, Pastor Mike, was boundaries. And I think that's imperative when it comes to social media. So it's dope that you all kind of say we can just talk about this and it doesn't have to become a thing, right? So this was good. I think this was an amazing interview. And now it is time for our round robin. And as we were telling you all, we kind of do a round robin closing questions on every interview. And it's kind of cool because we just ask random questions of our guests just to kind of lighten everything up and get, see another side. But we actually did a special edition for you all because I thought about just what I know about your marital journey and who you both are. And so we kind of put out some cool questions just to kind of get like a glimpse inside of the way you all think. So I'm going to throw it to Charlize for the round robin. Don't be nervous.
Don't be nervous. No, it's all good. This is all in fun. So, Lady Erin, what's the most romantic thing that Pastor Mike has ever done for you?
Well, without a spoiler alert, but I got to do it. He proposed to me in New York City on the Sally Jesse Raphael show. That's probably that's the case.
That is so cool.
We were on national TV. Yeah.
Now, these new people don't know who Sally Jesse Raphael is. You know that. Y'all telling your age now.
Love her.
You know that.
You're on the air no more.
Yeah.
So it was on a talk show. That's deep. So you're an introvert. You already said that. What did you think when he did that?
Well, it was.
If y'all convince her to let me post the video, then y'all would know.
Yeah, it's on YouTube, private, unlisted. Only can get theirs if you have.
I can't even post my own proposals.
I mean, there's been more, but you said probably that was probably.
That's good. That's like pretty major. That's major. Yeah, that's major. So, Pastor Mike, when did you know that Lady Erin was the one?
First time I saw her.
Oh, watch out!
I don't believe in the whole love at first sight thing, not at all. Wow. Right? But it's just etched in my memory. Right, the very first time I saw her. Right, I don't know at that moment. I don't think I knew like, wow, this is gonna be my wife, but I can remember that, right? I can remember the very first time I saw her. We were on campus. I just see her walking across campus, dribbling a basketball, right? She's on the basketball team. And so I really remember that. So I would say, yeah.
Yeah, I was in shorts and the t-shirt, cut off t-shirt. So I mean,
really?
I was looking like nothing.
One of them ponytails y'all do.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Really blue ponytail.
That is so cute. Too cute.
Lady Erin, back to you. So, for any woman that desires to be married, what do they need to know before they get married? What is the advice you would give them?
I got to take it back to scripture, and he that findeth the wife findeth the good thing. And I think that probably the most biggest mistake is women going out and trying to find their husband and not allow the Lord to send them. And then while you're waiting, prepare yourself, because we got married young. And so while I wouldn't take it back, I probably would have waited a couple more years if I had to redo it to make sure that I was right with my relationship with the Lord, because once the two become one, that intimate relationship that you can have with the Father is now shared with your husband. And it's not as easy just to get close to him outside of singleness. I don't know.
That's good.
Questions, but I mean, that's kind of where it's at.
It did.
Yes, it did. Good. Absolutely did.
That was real. That was good stuff.
Yeah, that was good. So, Pastor Mike, so you and Lady Erin, you have 3 girls. So which of the girls is most like you and which of the girls is most like her?
I think they share some different
very political
some different components of us each. But definitely my middle daughter is me. She's definitely
She
and
is.
the younger and the older, I think they share a lot of my qualities, but they're mostly like my wife.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let me ask you guys this. When you're married and you have so many moving parts in your life, you have to make time for a date night. So what does the ideal date night look like for you all?
Pre-pandemic,
Well, we can go both because
We can
we
do
know
both.
we've had to adjust.
Yeah.
we just like a good meal and movies.
Mhm.
Meal and movies.
That's
Mhm.
it.
That's it. Look, that's enough though. I tell you, I'm at the age now where you give me a good meal and a movie, I'm gonna go to sleep anyway.
And then in time away from the kids. So meal, movies, kids, and then while at the kids is off limits as far as discussion unless somebody's in trouble.
Right. That's
Okay,
good.
that's good. That is good. So this is the last question, all right? And this for both of you all. For our audience who will listen to this podcast later on in the week, please speak to the people who are not in relationships, but they desire to be, because we just had Valentine's Day on yesterday, and some people struggle with their singleness, and that's the reality of it. So what are your thoughts on that? And what would be your parting words for those who desire to be married?
Okay. Um, I think something big again, just kind of going to scripture a little bit, not trying to be super deep, but
That's
it's
good.
just a word in the whole creation narrative, right?
Mhm.
When it talks about suitability, right? Somebody being suitable, Eve being suitable for Adam. I think that's a huge word because we use so many factors to determine if we want to be with somebody, if they look good enough, if they make enough money, like these superficial things. But somebody being suitable for you, in my opinion, is a core value issue. Like, do we have the same type of core values? I think that what made things work with us, I mean, we both kind of, super saved. We grew up religious homes. We kind of had real strong values, right? So we meshed, we were suitable. But when people get together, those aren't the things that they use. Like, they're just trying to find somebody to make their heart go pitter patter, right? I think the Western idea of love gets a lot of people in trouble, right? Marriage don't work because you in love. Marriage works because you guys are in agreement. You guys have similar values, got the same goals, the same dreams, right? You're a partner, right? That kind of butterfly stuff, it don't cut it. It has to be deeper than that. So I guess what I would say is to find somebody who is suitable for you, not somebody that if they change X, Y, and Z, they'll be great for me. And I know I can change them, right? That's a terrible foundation to stand on. But making sure you guys are suitable from the jump. That's it.
That's good.
And then I would say the question was desiring to be married, right?
Yes, like folks who want to get married.
Yeah, the most effective thing to do is to not covet or envy your own singleness, right? And just take a realistic approach at what the advantages that you have in being single. And because once you lose that opportunity, your life is no longer just your life. Your life is now tied to another person that you have joined together to become one. And so in singleness, take that time to become the best you can be, so that when you are presented with your spouse, whether male or female, you're offering your best self. And it's in that best self, you are then connected to be suitable to become a power couple, for lack of better, #power couple.
That's good. Now, like you said something, you said in agreement, because here's the thing. If you're not in agreement, that oneness is hard.
It's very hard. And what she said too, being willing to let go of your singleness, right? The problem with a lot of people when they get married, they're married living single, right?
That's it.
It's hard. It's hard to come together if you're not ready for that. So, yeah,
that's it.
The marriage is work. It's work. If you're not prepared to put in the work, you're not prepared to be married. right? The Bible says, are you ready for the largeness of marriage, the magnitude of marriage? It's a lot in that. You got to be ready for it. You got to be mature enough for it.
And I think we need to take the stigma off that singleness is bad, because it's not.
Wow.
Right. Right. That's good. That's good. And I think too, we are called to certain things in certain seasons. And I said seasons before. And there are seasons where you are called into your singleness. And then for some, there's a season where you're called into that oneness and being married, that unity. And so you need to be able to embrace both sides of that. Because really, both sides of it is work on a whole different level, right? All right, so Yolanda, I'm kicking it to you to close us out.
Yeah, so listen, this has been literally an amazing, amazing conversation. Pastor Mike and Lady Erin, I just want to thank you all again. Just watching you all over the years, I knew when this topic came up, I just knew that you all would be perfect to help us flesh this out. But I had no idea that y'all would be this good. Like, so much of what you brought to the table, I mean, you helped me. So I just want to thank both of you all so much. And I want to thank our audience. Thank you so much for joining us today as we continue to shape our dialogue around real life issues and real talk solutions. You can find and subscribe to our podcast on Anchor, Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, Pocket Cast, and Radio Public. Join us next time as we strive to be authentic, be transparent, and be inspired.